Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Please welcome Dr. Griffith to the podium for his opening remarks.
Good morning. Thank you, Addie. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this induction ceremony for 2022 that will recognize the new class of inductees of the Cum Laude Society. Welcome to the guests who've come here to celebrate these inductees, especially parents and friends. Thanks to all of those who've assisted in putting this ceremony together, including our wonderful orchestra under the direction of Dr. Sobieski. Today, our guest speaker, Tom Brinkerhoff, follows a new tradition for Cum Laude here. That is that the student members themselves select the speaker. This ceremony this morning reminds us how quickly the academic year is drawing to a close, and how these seniors that we're recognizing today will soon be crossing a different stage at Monmouth University as we return to our commencement celebrations there. The time between spring break and the end of the year will inevitably feel very short. I know the seniors feel the powerful pull of celebration, but also the start of the transition. As we plan for this and other events, I kept thinking that the end of the year will be here very soon. As a group, this class has done a wonderful job in leading Ranney School in this challenging year, and we look forward to celebrating the entire class of 2022 in many ways this spring. This Cum Laude ceremony is a recognition of one facet of achievement for them, academics, for a group of talented and hardworking seniors. This week has marked a continued and gradual return to normalcy here at Ranney, on campuses across New Jersey and throughout the state. Undoubtedly, even though we've been able to return to campus live this year and have had relatively few quarantines or virtual moments, the pandemic has continued to impact our protocols on campus. And as we sit here today, I'm reminded that the last time we had this ceremony in Panther Hall was in 2020 in March, just before we were separated for the rest of the spring. Last year, gradual return in that theme, we were outside for a beautiful ceremony, although a bit inclement. And today, luckily, we're able to be back indoors in Panther Hall. Given that we have a large number of inductees this morning and reflections on what's a historically large class for Ranney, I'll keep these remarks very brief. Along with the National Honor Society, Cum Laude provides us with another opportunity to recognize academic excellence and scholarship in a community of learners. The name of the society translates as with honor, or more precisely, perhaps with praise. And it is to honor and praise that we come here this morning, to praise not just the grades that are the primary benchmark for admission into this society, but also all of the other pleasures and even the occasional drudgery that come along with academic work. But we also hope that this recognition recognizes the intellectual engagement and the love of learning for its own sake. The motto delineates qualities which ideally each member of the society ought to have and endeavor to encourage in a community like Ranney. It is important to remember that the academic pursuits should ideally be in the service of other things, higher things. It's appropriate today that our inductees have chosen Tom Brinkerhoff, a distinguished member of our history department, as a speaker for our keynote. Mr. Brinkerhoff is currently enrolled in a doctoral program at Vanderbilt University, a sign of the kind of ongoing lifelong learning that we encourage. We know that the same qualities that have led this group of inductees to be recognized in Cum Laude after years of hard work will carry them through college and their careers beyond. You've all pursued the goals of our mission, lead, create, and contribute, and we're proud of you for that. We talk a lot about the mission statement, but we don't always translate the Latin tag that's on our seal, the translation of which is, "Nothing is given to mortals without hard work." The same resilience, dedication, and hard work will serve all of you and your classmates as well as you prepare for college and life beyond. Congratulations to this class of inductees, to the whole class of 2022 that's worked so hard and led so well. Thank you.
Good morning. As Secretary of Ranney's chapter of Cum Laude, it is my duty to acknowledge the history and traditions of the Society as we welcome its newest members. Cum Laude Society was founded in 1906, dedicated to honoring scholastic achievement in secondary schools. Its founders modeled the society after Phi Beta Kappa, the collegiate honor society that celebrates excellence in the liberal arts and sciences. Currently, there are nearly 400 chapters of Cum Laude. Membership is mainly in the United States and Puerto Rico, but chapters also exist in Canada, England, France, Spain, Switzerland, and the Philippines. Roughly 4,000 new student members are inducted annually, representing the best and brightest of their respective student bodies. Ranney School began the process of establishing a chapter in 2000, during which we underwent an extensive review of the upper school curriculum and academic standards, a continual process that ensures that our academic program meets the lofty expectations of the national chapter. As we prepare to induct these students before us, it is worth considering the history and meaning behind the Cum Laude Society itself. Originally named the Alpha Delta Tau Fraternity, the society has adopted the stylized version of the Greek letter tau, or T, as its logo. The tau pins that the inductees will receive today are a reminder of the long tradition of recognizing academic excellence, even as the fraternity evolved into the Cum Laude Society in the 1950s. The Cum Laude motto, Arete, Dike, Time, translates to excellence, justice, and honor. These Greek words hold as much practical application as they do arcane meaning. While the goal of the society is to recognize academic excellence, the motto specifies qualities that members should have as personal goals and that they should encourage in their community. What this means for us, the people being honored today, the students in the crowd with aspirations to join them, and our community as a whole, is that academic excellence and moral goodness should be recognized, honored, and celebrated. The people on this stage and other faculty members of Cum Laude have demonstrated that they are critical thinkers, high achievers with creative minds, and scholars in their chosen field of study. They have the GPAs and advanced degrees to prove it. But to be excellent extends beyond traditional academics. The distinguished members of Cum Laude Society and the inductees joining their ranks today carry with them the knowledge derived not only from their classes and textbooks, but also from the education they have received on stage, in the studio, as athletes, or in pursuing their own extracurricular interests. This is the mark of the successful completion of a strong liberal arts education and what we seek to recognize today. To achieve the honor of Cum Laude, however, this excellence must be tied to the ideals of justice and honor, the other two words in the society's logo, or motto. These qualities are more elusive. Though they cannot be calculated into a GPA, they are equally, or I would argue more important than academics. Justice and honor have to do with promoting what is fair and right in one's community. To examine your own life, figure out what makes it worth living, and do your best to make your community a safe and happy place for those around you. As members of Cum Laude, you have a responsibility to your community and to each other to uphold these tenets in your everyday life and while continuing to pursue excellence in all of your endeavors. I am confident that this group will make us proud. Congratulations to the inductees. Now please welcome Ms. Greenberg, the president of Ranney School's chapter of Cum Laude, for the charge to the inductees.
Thank you, Greg. Always looking out for me. Good morning, everyone. I want to extend my congratulations to our 20 scholars. Induction into the Cum Laude Society is an honor presented to a very small number of students nationwide and represents the highest group academic honor that Ranney School awards. Congratulations to all of you on this distinction. This ceremony is a celebration of excellence. How is excellence achieved? Good scholarship consists in knowing not what things exist, but what they mean. It is not about memory, but about judgment. And this is important because as Nelson Mandela pointed out, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you consistently do. As you begin your next academic journey, start with aiming to be the best version of you. This will require some serious reflection and introspection. Who are you? You'll have a plethora of opportunities to learn more about many subjects, but most importantly, you'll have the chance to learn about yourselves. Toni Morrison reminds us that in this act of self-discovery and planning for your futures, you should keep this in mind, she said. When you get these jobs that you have been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, your job is to empower somebody else. Life is not just a grab bag candy game. Her words are poetic, but not hyperbole. She reminds us that we're not here to only do for ourselves. As you learn about yourselves and your place in the world, I urge you to ask yourselves, what is it you care enough about to risk your own comfort? You see, both fear and hope require a belief in something you cannot see. Which will you pick? If you make decisions out of fear of looking foolish, out of fear of trying something new, or the fear of rocking the boat of the status quo, you'll make your life so much smaller than it could be. Making choices out of hope is a richer, more meaningful, if sometimes bumpier path. But hope will help you to choose your own path to knowledge so you can be the change makers I know you can be. As lifelong learners and tomorrow's leaders, you can remember the responsibilities that accompany scholarship and leadership. Because competition without sportsmanship, politics without character, science without humanity, and business without morality are not only useless, but dangerous. But if you balance intellectual achievement with emotional maturity and counter ambition with a steady moral compass, you will remain grounded and connected to the community you are part of. In doing this, you'll find purpose in what you do and compassion in doing it. You'll fulfill the ideals, of justice and honor that are the qualities of a member of Cum Laude. I wish you all the best as you travel this journey. Congratulations once again to you and your families. Do you want to say something before I start the induction?
Thanks, Ms. Greenberg. An editorial comment here and mea culpa. If I'd actually looked again at the program or looked to my left, I would have recognized that our distinguished keynote speaker today is none other than Dr. Brad Holden, the chair of our English department and a distinguished scholar from Yale University. So, Dr. Holden.
Okay. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to offer induction into the Ranney School chapter of the Cum Laude Society to an outstanding group of candidates. Dr. Griffith and Mr. DiGiovanni, would you please join me for the induction ceremony? And will all of the inductees please stand? Inductees. The distinguished record you have compiled at Ranney School has earned you membership into the Cum Laude Society. The Society is a fellowship of scholars whose purpose is to recognize excellence in academic work. As you pursue your education, it is our hope that you will accept the honor of membership in this society as a responsibility to make a contribution to the ongoing search for greater understanding of humanity and society. In testimony of your admission to the Cum Laude Society by the authority of the Society, I now present to you these certificates, cords, and pins of membership.
When I call your name, please come forward and accept your award. Samantha Abdelberry. And then move down to the Joseph Aresh. I didn't want to cut you off. Congratulations. Okay, there you go. Slide over a little. There you go. Layla Barthwall. Addison Basile. Ryan Biswall. Thomas Boyan. She comes back eventually, but thanks. Madison Catneys. Morgan Chandler. Oscar Chu. Lily Eagle. Albert Lee. Kangping Liu. Brielle Polizano. Anthony Salustio. Vishva Shah. Rishi Sandhi. Hatham Tang. Loveleen Verdi. Eden Weiss. Sophia Zaslow. It is tradition for our chapter to offer an opportunity to the inductees to share their thoughts on their educational journey and their experience today. I'd like to ask Rishi Sandhi to the stage for the first of two student reflections.
Dear friends, family, and faculty, thank you everyone again for being here today to celebrate these wonderful students. Almost 7 years ago, I joined a class of annoying and immature sixth graders. Flash forward, and now I'd like to think that we've transformed into compassionate and driven young adults. We were able to become captains of sports teams, activists, thespians, fundraisers, and what we are celebrating here today, true academic scholars. We protested for diversity and climate change policy, donated to local hospitals and clinics during a worldwide pandemic, and involved ourselves in student-led discussions on ways to deal with global issues, all while maintaining high academic standards. These young adults have promising careers and academic opportunities awaiting them in the coming years. Wherever they may end up, I am sure they will find success in their lives as true benefits to society. With their education, determination, and several beneficial skills from their time here at Ranney, these students can explore their interests and find their true passions. Going forward, they can use their education to enhance the lives of the people around them, pursuing careers as social workers, medical professionals, representative positions, and community activists. However, we should look back at what brought us here. Throughout the past almost 4 years, we have shown dedication to our academics through the most inconceivable of times. I, for one, feel lucky to have had at least 1 year where we experienced high school without the threat of COVID-19. That 9th grade saw us quickly adjusting to the new standards of difficulty and academic integrity of high school. We had to change our immature ways from middle school and understand our placement in a new environment. Of course, all of that would be uprooted by the end of 10th grade. 2 years ago, we were all forced to work from home and virtually learn our classes. As well as this, we had to connect to our family and friends through digital screens. When we finally returned to school in September of 2020, we had all witnessed a dramatic change that occurred here on campus. Our classes were now hybrid, and many of our classmates were still present online, waiting for the opportunity to return. Even though we were faced with tremendous upsets to our previous lives, we were always ready to rebound and pull ourselves through these incredibly difficult times. Again and again, challenges came and went, but we still kept our academic interests at the forefront. Of course, these challenges may have been different for each of us. For some, it was simply striving to do better on an AP Physics test or a history final. For others, it may have been balancing their mental health and their academics, personal issues with their family or friends, and many other commitments that these students had to endure. Yet still, we persevered and overcame these obstacles on our path towards academic success. Now that things seem to be improving, we should talk about the commendation that you are receiving today. This honor was not just received by achieving good grades and staying on top of your work. It also represents your academic integrity and your adherence to the Ranney School Honor Code. Additionally, you went above and beyond in showing your teachers your involvement in the subjects you learned. That included staying during office hours to understand a difficult math problem, or spending an outrageous amount of hours studying a computer science question. Whatever it was, you showed your determination to your teachers and to your fellow peers. Over the last 4 years, we were not able to achieve these feats alone. We were not able to conquer these almost insurmountable odds without people by our side. We had the support of our families, friends, and maybe other trusted adults. Each one of us hopefully had someone by our sides through it all. Whether that be a close friend that always found a way to understand your struggles and academic issues, a parent or guardian that influenced you towards choosing a career path, a coach that helped you balance your schoolwork and your commitment to your team, whoever it may have been, they were always by your side, ready to help you through the most difficult choices and events in your life. They helped to make sense of the constant uncertainties in life, and you should continue to lean on them. Now, to the students that are in front of me today, I want to remind you all again, this is something to be proud of and to enjoy. Your hard work and your dedication to your academics have finally paid off. Seriously, I know you have to hear this a lot today, but congratulations. You should feel proud of yourselves for what you've accomplished in these past few years. Even if you do not know what you're going to be doing 5 years from now, take pride in the fact that you've endured a difficult journey. Through countless assessments, terrifying global events, and personal challenges, you still found a way to earn your place in the top 20% of your class. My message is simple. Sal Vulcano says it at the beginning of every Impractical Jokers episode. Prepare for something amazing. I am truly proud to be among these students, community leaders, and activists as they represent some of the best Ranney has to offer towards the future. Thank you again, and I wish the best of luck to you all in your next endeavors.
Thank you, Rishi. The Ranney School Chapter of Cum Laude Society is pleased to continue the tradition of welcoming to the podium a member of the academic faculty chosen by the students inducted today. As a scholar mentor, He was asked to provide advice from the perspective of a senior scholar to the next generation of scholars as they prepare for the next leg of their academic journeys. We are pleased to introduce this year's Scholar to Scholar speaker, Dr. Holden.
Congratulations are in order to newly inducted members of Cum Laude, to the seniors who attended school in a pandemic, and to the parents whose love and support has made this possible. I'm honored to be a part of this celebration and congratulate you all. In preparing for this talk, I was told to address the nature of learning and to keep my remarks brief. I promise I can do the latter. But the topic itself, learning, is a crucial one. When you think about it, it's really the most valuable skill one can learn. That is, learning how to learn. We all know intelligent and accomplished individuals. So what sets them apart? How do they know so much? And how can you be like them? How can you get smarter and, this is key, not just appear smart? The answer is both very easy and very difficult. You have to stop caring about looking smart. I could put this in a fancier way. Your ego is the obstacle. We're all human, which means basically vain and foolish, but we like to appear smart. In fact, we're mortally offended by the idea that we might not know. Being human, we have a hard time admitting this most of the time. The temptation is to think, well, I'm in cum laude, or I have a Ranney degree, a Yale degree, or, God help us, a Harvard degree. But if that's what you think, you're not likely to acknowledge your ignorance. You'll want to appear to know already. Your ego, that source of so much self-inflicted misery, will prevent you from asking, from learning, from passing through ignorance to knowledge. But we're unbelievably ignorant all of the time. What we don't know, what I don't know, is staggering. It's infinite, really. I'm sure all of you know more about all sorts of things than I do. Upon reflection, that's just an obvious truth. Socrates said the only thing he knew was that he didn't know anything. And that is human wisdom. But if we can't accept our ignorance, if it can't become a source of joy and even delight, we'll never be able to pass on to knowledge in any field. This is where the ego comes in, and I think I can illustrate the point. I once had a German teacher who was, well, let's just say all the guys in the class were in love with her. She was the reason I think some of them learned German. And I had a friend in class, a Bekannte, a German would say, who was very nervous about appearing dumb in front of our teacher. He didn't want to use his childish German because he made a lot of mistakes. Because naturally, he couldn't express himself. And here's where the ego comes in. He didn't want to look stupid in front of this Frau. So what did he do? He dropped the class. He never learned German. And why? Because he didn't want the obvious fact that he didn't know German to be exposed. This, I would suggest to you, is the kind of thing we do all the time. It is a parable of the human. And it reveals to us a very strange paradox about learning. In order to become wise, you must become a fool. This, incidentally, is why children are so good at picking up languages. I don't think it's a skill we lose in later life. We may lose the ability to speak without an accent, the ease of shaping our mouth to new sounds, but I've studied enough languages to know that it gets easier with time. You understand grammar and syntax already. You make connections between language families. No, the advantage children have is this. They don't mind making mistakes. They don't mind being corrected and taught. Mommy, I goed potty, the toddler cries. And his mother gently replies, Mommy, I went potty. The child learns. But by contrast, when someone corrects us, we feel the wound smart in our souls. Points off an essay, we cry indignantly. But I'm already perfect. I'm already smart. And the opportunity for growth is lost. But that opportunity, our willingness to acknowledge our ignorance, to be comfortable with not knowing, is the necessary condition for coming to know. Call it humility as the price of wisdom. Sometimes it's hard. We have all paused before the dumb question, the question that reveals we fear our ignorance or misapprehension. So we don't ask, and we don't know, and worst of all, we lose our one chance to learn. Why? Because we'd rather seem to know. We'd rather appear intelligent than expose ourselves to ridicule. Then, in those very instants, make manifest what is obviously true. We don't know something. We don't understand something, which is only a way of saying we're human. 2,000 years ago, a great teacher said we should become like little children. What did he mean? In part, I think it must be this: free of our ego and pride, and instead full of childlike wonder before the mystery of existence and the multitude of things we just might, in time, come to understand.
Thank you, Dr. Holden. Please welcome Samantha Abdelberry, one of our cum laude inductees, for a closing reflection.
Thank you, and congratulations again to my peers on this outstanding accomplishment. I am very privileged to speak today and recognize our hard-earned achievements, although I know it is sometimes hard to acknowledge the work that has gone into this honor. I really do believe we as students need to use this time to reflect on what our paths to this induction have looked like. I have watched each and every one of my peers grow into the people they are today, constantly challenging themselves not only with an academic workload, but making sure to be a sort of Renaissance person simultaneously. The famous NFL Hall of Famer Steve Young once said, "The principle is competing against yourself. It's about self-improvement, about being better than you were the day before." While this quote was originally targeted towards football, it is clear to see that its meaning spans far wider. Whether in the classroom, on stage, or on the field, self-motivation is vital. Although we have close peers and family members, it is impractical to assume anyone other than yourself understands your goals and what you are willing to do to achieve them. This means that it is up to us as individuals to place the necessary pressures on ourselves. Before us, we have students, athletes, musicians, thespians, leaders, and so much more. How could we amass all of these titles if it weren't for pressure? Ranney has allowed us these many avenues, never limiting how many we can travel to. This meant that from the get-go, we were going to explore anything and everything, searching for our goals and passions along the way. Although I have only been at Ranney since 9th grade, I believe I have seen my fellow inductees through their most pivotal moments. From the start, I have seen all of us put in the effort to stand out. Whether it was extra help on a Friday afternoon when everyone else raced out the door, or late night practices when you had that big test the next day, we can and have done it all. These are just a few examples, but I promise you, if I called up any single one of these inductees, their academic and extracurricular resumes at the age of 17 or 18 would astonish you. And that is ultimately my point. At Ranney, this is not astonishing, and not in a negative or unenthused way, but it is just a fact. We have been taught to work. When you finish school, it is normal to have an activity, a sport, or rehearsal. When you get home, it is encouraged to get your homework done, to study, to manage your time. My even explaining these things is probably making all of your eyes roll to the back of your heads because they seem so basic. These are not basic. These are hard-learned skills. A skill. That feels like such a foreign way to reference our academic knowledge. When we think of a skill, we think of something that has been trained, something that has been practiced over and over again until mastery. School is our practice, tests are our games, graduation is our senior day, and Miss Gorman is going to need to buy lots of flowers. We have a unique skill set that will follow you on your next step in your academic careers. And I'll repeat again, these are skills. You train them, worked them, grew them like a muscle. As we move to college and ask ourselves, are we ready, or do I even know what I'm doing? I implore each and every one of you to continue using those same muscles we have so tenderly grown here at Ranney. The muscles that have led you to persevere after you may not have received the grade you wanted. The muscles that have kept you resilient in the face of adversity in the constantly changing world we live in. And the muscles that motivated you to push yourself when no one else was around. Steve Jobs once said, Everyone says they go the extra mile. Almost no one actually does. And that's why the extra mile is such a lonely place. We are entering an unknown chapter in our lives. Some of us are moving to different states, some of us flights away, and it may seem like you were unprepared for it all. We are prepared. In September, when that muscle memory kicks in, you will watch yourself naturally assume leadership roles. You will rise to the challenges set before you, and you will find the passion that continues to feed your minds. However, I do hope that you will all continue to raise the bar for yourself and not stay stagnant when you reach your next destination. You have so much potential, and although in a new place, if you keep up with those skills you have so diligently worked for, you will find success in all your paths. Thank you to the teachers and administration here at Ranney. Without you, none of this would be possible, and we are so lucky to have such a wonderful group of educators. And the biggest thank you to my parents for all that you have done for my sisters and me. You are the reason I was able to receive this achievement, and I thank God every day that I was blessed with such supportive and caring parents to guide me. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you to both our student speakers today and to our guest faculty speaker, Dr. Holden. As we conclude this ceremony, I'd like to take a moment to thank a few people. Dr. Griffith, Dr. Martin, Mr. Matarasso, and the College Guidance Office who wrote the bios for today's program, Ms. Machiga, Mrs. Vuoso, Mrs. Hicks, and last but by no means least, Dr. Sobieski and our student musicians for the wonderful music today. Let me just take a moment to remind the current members, inductees, and their families and guests that we will stay in Panther Hall for photographs following the ceremony. Finally, students and guests, please remain in your seats until the cum laude faculty on stage and the student inductees process out. Thank you.